We're here at the NCUA headquarters discussing the outcome of the December board meeting with board member Michael Fryzel. First, I want to thank you for taking time to speak with us today.
I'm glad to be here.
First, I want to start with the rule on charitable donation accounts. You voted in support of that. Why do you think that rule is necessary?
Well, it became necessary because credit unions want to contribute to charities. And so we needed to set up, like banks do, the provision for them to be allowed to do so. A lot of people don't understand. Credit unions are very active in their communities. Every week you will see that they're out there doing things. They're helping people. They're contributing to food banks. They're contributing to American Cancer Society. They're working with the local football team or baseball team or the fire department. So they're very active in their communities. This mechanism allows them to earn some money on this investment as well as contribute to charity as a result of it. So I think it's a good rule.
Chairman Matz mentioned that she doesn't want to see the rule be used to prop up credit union their income statements. Do you share that point of view?
Well, absolutely not, and I don't think it will be. I think people are going to understand what this is all about. This is a mechanism to earn income, but that income, a lot of that is supposed to go to the charity as well. So I think they'll understand that.
Now, I also wanted to ask about the proposed rule for home-based credit unions. You voted against that rule. Why did you choose to cast your vote that way?
Well, Nick, this was my first no vote in 5.5 years on the board. And I felt compelled to do that because I think the proposed rule as written, is flawed. We talk about extending safety to our examiners by making sure at home-based credit unions the exam is taken outside of the home. But we limit it to federal credit unions, even though there are state-chartered, federally insured credit unions that are home-based. We need to provide that protection not only to our federal examiners at our federal credit unions, but when they go into state-chartered credit unions, along with the examiners from the states going in them, that they are fully protected, that they can take the exam outside the house. They don't have to be concerned about going in. If they have to go in, they go in with the understanding that they're protected, that we are looking out for their safety. So I feel that it's flawed by not extending that coverage to the federally insured credit unions as well.
And during the meeting, it seemed that you were also concerned about the authority the NCUA even has to prevent credit unions from operating in homes. You were saying that should be their decision, the credit union's decision. Is that correct?
Absolutely, Nick. I have asked General Counsel to provide me with the statutory authority whereby NCUA is allowed or can say to a home-based credit union, you must move into a commercial building. I haven't seen that in a law. They haven't provided anything to my satisfaction to make me believe we have the authority to do that. That's how credit unions started. They started in their homes. And some of these credit unions that are still located in homes, they don't want to grow. They don't want to get any bigger. They don't want to take in any new members. They're serving a distinct field of membership, and their members apparently are very happy with it. For us to say to them, now take this and put this in a commercial store is wrong. If they're safe and sound, if they're operating as a financial institution should operate, we should have no problem with that. I found it interesting when our NCUA director said that he has already contacted all these small credit unions, and they said to him, or none of them reached out to him for the support that he was asking or willing to give. The fact that they would help them find a space, that they would look at the space for them, that they would provide financial assistance to some of the credit unions to get into the space. None of them said, we want your help, because they're fine. They don't want us to help. They're running their financial institutions as they want it to be. It reminded me of President Ronald Reagan when he said the 10 most feared words you can ever hear are, I'm from the federal government and I'm here to help. That's what it reminded me of. They don't need our help. We don't need to go out there to them and offer this kind of help.
How do you respond to the point of view from Chairman Matz, for example, saying, look, well, we do need to anticipate possible problems? Rick Metzger, board member Metzger, said the exact same thing, that we should anticipate possible problems in terms of accessing documents at these home-based credit unions. So we need this rule to go forward.
Well, we're going to have problems in credit unions, whether they're home-based or whether they're commercial-based. Fraud exists in both types of credit unions. If we anticipated everything that could possibly happen in the credit union industry, we would have 3 times as many rules as we now have. We would have to have 3 times as many examiners to make sure that everything is being done properly. You can't anticipate everything. You have to look at historical problems. They pointed out the fact that one credit union had the records stored in a place and they should have been in a fireproof cabinet. Well, that credit union got a fireproof cabinet. Problem solved. As opposed to moving them to a commercial space, we have to make sure that we take a Band-Aid to fix just a little cut. This is not something that requires triage. So we have to look at it in a proper perspective. The more things we do like this, the more it's going to cost credit union monies, the more they're not going to be able to operate as they should be, with the board of directors who make their decision as to what they want to do in the future, where they want to be located, what they want to do if they want to expand or not. As long as they're following the rules and regulations and they are a safe and sound institution, that's all we should be concerned about.
Now, what do you think would happen if this rule passed, the final version of the rule passed, and a home-based credit union couldn't afford to move based on their location into a retail space? What do you think could be the result in that situation?
Well, I asked staff about that question because, in my opinion, some of them will not be able to afford commercial space. So, in effect, if they can't afford it, they're going to have to either merge or liquidate themselves. Or if they go into the commercial space, they may find that if they take an extended lease, they're not going to be able to make those payments, and it's going to have an impact on their bottom line. So it's a decision that the credit unions will have to make if the rule becomes final. I'm hoping that there will be significant changes, or at least that the General Counsel will be able to see that perhaps we don't have that authority and we should leave well enough in law.
I also wanted to ask about risk-based capital. It was said prior to this meeting that it would be considered at some point before the end of the year. And since it wasn't on the agenda, I wanted to know what the status of it was and what do you think the challenges are preventing it from being taken up before the end of this year?
There are a lot of complicated rules yet to come before the board, Nick. We're going to have, as you said, the risk-based capital. We're going to have the PCA. We're going to have derivatives. We're going to have securitization. I expect all these to come before the board in the first quarter of next year. It's just that with the rules that we had today, with the action we have to take, both at closed and open board meetings, you just can't put too many things on the agenda and properly address them. I think major issues like that, only one at a time should be placed on the agenda so that we could fully explain it to the credit union industry, that the board members can fully ask all the questions they want to ask, and the credit unions understand what the impact to them will be, both fiscally and having to deal with the new regulation.
And last question I have for you, the CFPB mortgage rules were raised during the meeting today. We talked about them a little bit in the past. Do you see any of these rules being delayed till after January 2014?
Well, that's not our decision. That's the CFPB's decision as to whether or not they're going to delay it. I know credit unions have asked them to. Other financial institutions have asked them to as well. I really don't have any idea as to if Director Cordray is going to, in some way, decide that perhaps we should wait till after the first of the year. Let's get it all flushed out. Let everybody get set past the holidays and then put it into effect. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it would be nice if it did.
Are there any rules that you're concerned about the most?
Like I said, there are complicated rules coming up. I think it's going to be difficult getting through some of them so that everybody fully understands them. They're not easy reads. Prompt corrective action is not easy. The capital rule, derivatives are going to be very difficult to understand. So that's why I think we should take the time at individual board meetings to fully discuss it, answer all the questions, and make sure that everybody understands what they're going to have to do if they want to be part of that particular process. The rules today were of course, my major concern, the home-based and having to require credit unions to move into commercial facilities. But I think by taking one rule like that at a time, it airs it out. It gives great transparency to say, hey, we have some questions here. Let's talk about it. Let's see if we can make it the type of rule that is not only legal, but is beneficial to everybody.
Board Member Fryzel, thank you so much for your
Thank you,
time.
Nick.
Appreciate it. At the NCUA headquarters in Alexandria, Virginia, I'm Nicholas Balassi, and thanks for watching.